Welcome. This is a special meeting of the Council of the Corporation of Municipalities Central Elgin. Today is Monday, June the 8th. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest from the staff or from the council, please? Seeing none. Our first report is from the Director of Planning and Engineering Service, DPE 3726. Mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Watson. Thank you.
Mayor Sloan, the motion reads, moved by Deputy Mayor Noble, seconded by Councillor Watson, that consent application E3226 pertaining to 6012 Sunset Road be supported subject to the conditions outlined in attachment C of report DPE 3726, as the application conforms to section 5124 of the Planning Act as amended, and that staff be directed to forward a copy of the council resolution regarding report DPE 3726 to the Elgin County Land Division Committee for consideration.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Thank you. DPE 3926, 44558 Talbot Line in the former township of Yarmouth. Mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Griffin. Thank you.
Mayor Sloan, the motion for that is moved by Deputy Mayor Noble, seconded by Councillor Griffin. The zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 1525 regarding 44558 Talbot Line to rezone the subject lands as site-specific open space zone 1 zone and prohibit the establishment of residential uses on a portion of the lands corresponding to the retained agricultural lands on the subject property be approved for reasons outlined in report DPE 3926 and that bylaw 2026-42 be approved.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Thank you. DPE 4426, 216 Centennial Avenue in the former township of Yarmouth. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Connors, Councillor Bachman. Thank you.
Mayor Sloan, the motion for that, moved by Councillor Connors, seconded by Councillor Bachman, that application ZBA 325 to amend the Township of Yarmouth zoning bylaw by rezoning the subject lands from open space zone 2 to residential zone 1 with special exceptions and a holding provision part 1, and from open space zone 2 and residential zone 1 to residential zone 1 in its entirety part 2 be approved for reasons outlined in report DPE 4426. That the proposal is deemed to be consistent with the Provincial Planning Statement 2024, conforms to the Central Elgin Official Plan, Elgin County Official Plan, and has sufficient regard to matters of provincial interest under the Planning Act. That the Director of Planning and Engineering Services be authorized to remove the holding provisions on the subject lands when all conditions have been satisfied. And the bylaw 2026-34 be approved.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Thank you. CAO 1826, Restricted Acts of Council. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Griffin. Councillor Watson. Thank you.
Mayor Sloan, the motion for that is moved by Councillor Griffin, seconded by Councillor Watson. That report CAO 1826 be received.
Questions or comments on the report? All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Motions and notice of motion, but first I'm going to ask if I could take my jacket off. It feels like there's a furnace behind me. Excuse me. Thank you. Motions and notice of motion. Councillor Graham, do you have a seconder? Okay, do you want to speak to it? Do you want to ask for a seconder? The latitude. Okay, is there a seconder for Councillor Councillor Graham's notice of motion? Councillor Connors, thank you.
Pretty self-explanatory, but I did go and speak with the county about the two roads to implement some speed controls. They advised that because they're going to be in negotiations with Central Elgin for us to assume East Road, that they would go ahead and approve the temporary speed humps as a pilot project for traffic calming measures if staff were to write them a letter saying, considering the future assumption of East Road. So again, the notice of motion, pretty explanatory. So we're looking at just delineators and more delineators on Carlow Road and then temporary speed humps on East Road. And then potentially throughout the municipality as well.
Thank you. I have Councillor Griffin and then another remark from myself.
Through you, thank you. I'm interested to hear that because when I called the county to ask if there had been a conversation about this, what they told me was that they did not understand why this motion was happening because the conversation that they had, they had shared that they were bringing a motion, or rather they were bringing a report to county council to recommend that an exception be made. And they didn't feel that they needed a motion from us in order to make that happen. And in fact, felt that this was perhaps counter to what they were seeking to do. They also said that based on the data that they have, that the suggested ways of managing traffic would be costly and probably not change the speed by more than 3 to 5 kilometers. And also they had concerns that speed humps near a fire station can be a bad thing for fire trucks. So they said that they actually also recommended that we consider speed cushions as a bare minimum on that as well. So all in all, it felt to me like there was a lack of communication about what should go in, and they already had an intention to solve this without an early assumption. And an early assumption means that we don't have a chance to examine the costs that should be happening and make sure that this is happening in a way that's cost effective. So I don't understand why we are hurrying the assumption of this road when the county is already willing to bring to the council a report recommending that this exception be made for us, and when there hasn't been any background work done to acquire the land.
Thank you. Did you want to reply, Councillor Griffin? Or sorry, Councillor Graham?
Sure. First of all, we're not rushing anything. So staff, the resolution states that staff be directed to prepare and send a letter to Elgin County indicating the municipality's attempt, but subject to further due diligence, negotiation, and council approval. So it's not rushing anything. In speaking with the county, they just asked for a letter. The reason that I'm bringing it to council tonight was because when I approached staff to write that letter, they said they weren't comfortable writing that letter to the county without council approval. With regards to the fire station, it's not going to be close to the fire station because the plan for assumption is only from about the water tower, which is Dexter, all the way down to Joseph Street. So it's not anywhere close to the fire station.
Thank you. I'm going to just a quick question, if I might go, and then I'll go to Councillor Bachman and Councillor Griffin. Questions for Mr. Mayers. When I spoke to the CAO about what goes on in Dutton, they put in 15 to 20 temporary speed bumps. I think Mr. McLeod spoke with the CAO there, and he talked about how there were 2 pads that were $170 each and 2 signs. You sent out an email with a quote of $2,685. I just wondered where that came from, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that came from one of our vendors. It was $2,400 per set, and that included the humps, hardware material, signage, posts, etc.
Thank you. Mr. McLeod, do you want to talk about the Dutton, what they do there that you looked into, please? While you're looking, I can move on to other questions. I will say to note that this council, probably at the majority of our open houses, traffic is the #1 issue. The delineators that were installed in Port Stanley, we have great response from the people. When it comes to data, Councillor Griffin, there's community safety signs that tell people how fast you're going. EOPP and local service clubs put those in. They move them around. Their effectiveness, I think, is at this point, when we're limited in what we can do with speed cameras, we have to do whatever we can as the increased traffic. So as Mr. McLeod looks for what happened with Dutton, I'm going to go to Councillor Bachman for his comments.
Thank you. Just to build upon your comments. Yeah, we, in our community, your community, Dave's community, Mr. Connor's community, we all seem to deal with the traffic issues and the speeding. As it was explained to me, there's only so much we can do because you can't fix the problem. You can't stop people. I mean, if somebody's going to break the law, they're going to break the law. If that was the problem, we wouldn't have any burglaries or anything else either, right? I mean, when it comes to this particular issue, we have to base it on something. So I'm just curious, wondering, do we have traffic studies to support our arguments when it comes to having speed bumps and delineators and all that? Like, obviously, we have a traffic study done in order to base our implementation on this. That just pads our argument. So I'm just wondering if we have those studies in place.
I'll go to Councillor Graham to respond and then to Councillor.
So this, because this is a pilot project, we've never done the speed humps before, but you have, I mean, I've looked into data from London, Kitchener, Guelph, Cambridge, and all of their speed hump areas have reduced significantly the amount of accidents and speeding in those towns, because we've never done it before. We don't have the resulting data. We have speed data because staff did it, I think, 3 years ago.
Thank you. Councillor Griffin next, and then Councillor Bachman.
Thank you. Through you, I do agree, Mayor Sloan, that speeding is a problem in all of our communities. And I think even Councillor Watson and I could tell you that we have places in our rural wards that certainly have that concern as well. But I think it's important to recognize that just because you can think of a solution or you've thought of it first doesn't make it the right solution. So, for example, I had someone ask me a little while about center delineators in Sparta. And I mean, in my first year serving Sparta, we had a tractor pull down some wires in our central corner. Like, we have traffic concerns, but that doesn't mean we don't have tractors. So that doesn't mean it's the right fit for us. So when I hear the county telling me that speed humps and fire trucks don't go together and they're not sure that this is the right solution on East Road by our fire station, that makes me think that we might be moving too quickly and going with the first thing we've thought of, not something that we've given appropriate time to people with appropriate expertise to actually find a right solution for. And knowing that this is something that we are eventually going to take on as a municipal road, but it wasn't planned yet and nothing's been negotiated for price, and we're planning on moving that forward in our spending in order to put in speed humps that we've been told might not be the safest and best solution in the first place. That sounds to me like we're jumping far too fast without actually looking for metrics, when actually Elgin does have data. They've taken speed measures and they do have the traffic manual that they're working with. So they have reasons for believing what they believe there. And I'd like to see us use evidence to make sure we get a good fit and a solution that works instead of paying for one and then replacing it later.
Thank you. They're temporary. Is that correct, Councillor Graham? Thank you. Councillor Bachman, please.
Just to build upon, I guess, your statement there, Mr. Brooks, do we actually have any studies in those, Carlow and East, was it? Do we actually have any studies, traffic studies in those areas?
Through you, Mayor Sloan, to Councillor Bachman, we don't have any what I would call studies. We have taken traffic counts which do measure speeds, and I think we do have some of that data. I believe Mr. Mayor's pulled some of that up this afternoon. So
Go ahead, sir.
Just one. I'm just curious with the amount of boats and stuff, would delineators be an issue? I mean, because you're narrowing traffic, and I've seen some of those boats coming in and out of the launches and that. Would delineators become an issue?
So if I may, just before Councillor Graham, we put in delineators the last couple of seasons. They last for 4 or 5 months. I think it's a visual deterrent. Boats get around them. They're also flexible and they go in the middle line. So if the car goes over a line, there might be an issue, but they're semi-rigid. Councillor Graham. Any other questions or comments? Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor, to Mr. Brooks, does that data support speed humps?
Sir?
as I mentioned, we had only measured some of the speeds out there. We hadn't run it through the process to determine if traffic calming would be warranted, or if so, what type of treatment would be best done out there.
Deputy Mayor, then Councillor Bachman, thank you.
Through you, Mayor, to Mr. Brooks, follow up. How long would it take to do that study?
Sir?
Typically, if staff were to measure speeds, we would typically measure speeds for anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. and then take that data and we could run it through a scoring assessment sheet. So you're looking at probably 3 weeks from now to have updated traffic calming data available in front of us to at least run it through the existing scoring sheets that we have for our own traffic calming policy. Now, this may differ somewhat in that it's a county road, and we may have to take into account some additional factors because it's a county road.
And then Mr. Mayers wants to speak.
That was actually one of my questions as well, but the scoring data, is that a Ontario policy? Like, does everybody score the same way when it comes to traffic calming and their studies?
Sir?
Our traffic calming policy that we have in place now was created in 2018. That data was created from the TAC manual, which is the Ontario manual for traffic calming that was done at the time. Since 2018, many municipalities have updated their traffic calming policy and have moved to a different system with some slightly different scoring metrics, but any update to a policy is typically done first of all, scoring it against what the TAC manual or the Ontario manual says. And then from there, you can make some fine tuning adjustments to make it fit your own municipality.
Thank you, Mr. Mayers, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I was trying to jump in there and I didn't want to interrupt. So we did, as Councillor Graham noted, there were some data counts traffic counts that happened about 3 years ago. We did have Sean pull that today. We ran it against our current policy, and we also ran it against the St. Thomas, their new traffic assessment data or tool. And it did not warrant, it fell into the range of not being warranted for speed humps in both cases.
Mr. Mayers, just before I go to Councillor Graham, can you tell me where other regions where we're putting in speed bumps at this point? What other areas we're putting them in, please?
That we're putting them in. Speed humps in Lyndhurst. As you know, we've been working with Councillor Connors since last fall. So we're looking at installing some speed humps there. We've done we did a 1 month recent traffic count. Although they're not necessarily warranted. I think based on the notice of motion at the last council that is indicated, and certainly the residents have stressed to Councillor Connors the need. We are installing 3 sets of speed humps in there.
Okay, so that's one area for Councillor Connors. I'd send an email out about where we're going to do it in Port Stanley, in Belmont, and other jurisdictions. Have those sites been chosen?
Not as of yet, no.
Okay. So I'm going to go to Mr. McLeod, who's going to tell us about the Dutton example.
So according to the response from Dutton, the speed humps are approximately $160 each, excuse me, with a minimum of 2 required each location. Signage was $33.75 with 2 required plus U-flange posts. They said it takes 2 crew to install and is an 8-hour day. So we should check the vendor to see if that's the actual cost that they're paying, because $160 does seem low, but we can check with them for the vendor that they use.
Thank you. And you did speak to the CAO there, as I recall? Yeah, okay. Well, were you back on Councillor Graham I have.
Yeah, so I'm a little confused because we're saying that we can put them in Lyndhurst, even though you find that they're not warranted. Sorry, through the mayor to Mr. Mayers. Even though they're not warranted, you're willing to do that because residents have reached out to Councillor Connors, but you're saying you don't want to put them in Port Stanley even after we've been dealing with this for 3 years and all kinds of residents have reached out to me. So I need to understand why you would not have a fair distribution of approval of speed humps throughout the municipality.
I rise to a point of order on that. I apologize, but sure, thank you. Our procedure says that we need to debate the actual issue, and the issue here is whether we write a letter to assume the road, not whether we put in speed humps. We already had a motion for that, and that did pass. This is, do we go forward and try to take this road from Elgin County?
That's actually not a motion at all. That's not saying, that's not what the motion says. It's not about assuming the road from the county right now. If you read the motion, it's about sending a letter to the county with the assumption that after due diligence, most likely we may be assuming that road. And if once the county receives that letter, they are willing to put speed humps as a pilot project on East Road. It is not assuming that we are going to be assuming that road.
So the preamble may mention the speed humps, but our be it resolved is that we are sending a letter to Elgin County to express the intention to assume, and also that we have a set dollar figure to do so. So this debate is meant to be about the virtue of assuming the road, not the virtue of the speed humps itself. And I think we're way off course at this point. So I would like to see us come back to actually discussing whether we intend to try and get this letter through and assume the road in advance of the intended schedule that Elgin had meant to have. And then everything plays out from there.
Councillor Graham?
Again, this is not a motion that we are pushing forward the assumption of that road. That is not what the motion states. It is about the speed humps for East Road and the delineators for Carlow Road. So my question still stands to Mr. Mayor's about putting speed humps in to Lyndhurst. Excuse me, putting speed humps into Lyndhurst versus putting speed humps into to Port Stanley.
I've
Mr.
called
Mayor.
my point of orders. I just need the mayor to rule whether he's upholding my point or whether we're going forward with what you're doing. That's all.
I'm not. I appreciate your concern, and I would ask you to, as this counselor suggests, to stick with what your notice of motion is. So it's like on Law and Order when they say you're, anyway, I think there's a bit of latitude here because traffic calming is perhaps the most important thing that I've, and a lot of us have dealt with in our time here. So a bit of latitude, I understand. Please continue. I'll keep an ear to it, Councillor Griffin.
Mr. Mayor's?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. To answer your question, I never said I was opposed to that. I was just simply stating that that was the what we ran through the traffic data or the assessment tool. We don't own this road. We have not assumed this road. So, certainly, as staff, we're willing to continue the conversation, no different than we've done with Councillor Connors. But at this point, we're not in a position, I'm not saying yes or no by any means. We don't own the road, so we're just looking for some direction as staff.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor of the member's motion? Opposed? Motion fails. Can I get a mover and a seconder to move into close, please? Councillor Griffin? Councillor Connors, thank you.
Mayor Sloan, the motion for that is moved by Councillor Griffin, seconded by Councillor Connors. The council proceed into closed session at 6:23 p.m. in order to address a matter pertaining to a proposed acquisition of land by the municipality regarding confidential report CAO 1926 for 42343 Fruit Ridge Line.
All in favor? And we're in close. Thank you.